What's going on, my crew? This is Rusty, and welcome back to another episode of Rusty's Adventures. And looky what we kept. I was a little bit scared and hesitant to go back to the snapshot because I heard that it corrupts things. So we are still in shaders, which is always a good thing. In CUDA, got a lot to talk to you guys about. But first I wanted to show you how the swamp turned out and kind of talk to you guys a little bit about the difference between vanilla and the shaders here. So first of all, this is my first attempt, and we'll talk about this in a second, at making a tree, a truly unique tree. And I think I did an okay job at it. I know it doesn't look great, but it also isn't quite finished. I'm waiting for the vines to grow on it. This is obviously a weeping willow, and I've tried my best to make this little pond area here, adding some reeds, which, just so you guys know, reeds you can put in the ground as long as there's grass beneath it. And this kind of gives sort of an algae, pond scummy feel to it. I'm not sure how much I want to convert some things to, but I still have a lot to work on the side here. But I want to talk about a little bit about trees as we progress through the episode today. So here we have the tree on the bottom, and you can kind of see the pattern that I went with as we go along. Maybe you can, maybe you can't, I'm not sure. But I'll sort of bring you into creative in a second and kind of show you what my thought process was behind it. It needs some more leaves if I was to go back and actually work on it a little more, but I think I'm going to keep it the way it is. Trees are even harder to make in creative, or I mean in vanilla than they are in creative, so there's that. But I really like this lake, or pond, and I want to go around after we talk about this tree. So this tree is supposed to be an oak tree. I kind of looked up a tutorial online. They're supposed to be shorter, which I feel like isn't true. I've seen some oak trees here in Vermont, quite a few, and they're not this short. They're actually pretty tall. But I guess this is more like, it looks very blocky, which this is Minecraft, but I'm not happy with it. Put it that way. So let's pop over here. Get a better look at what we're looking at from this side. So yeah, you guys can see we got some reeds. I added some little rocks in the middle and the willow tree. So let's do something. Some people may think, well, that's because you got the shaders. That's why it looks so beautiful. Check this out. We're in normal Minecraft. Yes, we got Optifine going, so I guess you could argue that, but let's go ahead and go to the video settings and go to details, and we'll go ahead and do, well, I guess we'll just keep it the way it is. Still looks pretty nice. The tree is nice. We've got some rocks in the middle of the water. The only thing that looks a little bit weird is the non-rock part outside of the water, because we can see right down in, and it's not really clear that that's green, but I think it still looks pretty darn good. I can't really complain about it. Sure, it doesn't look as picturesque, I'll give you that, but there's literally no change in the color. The blocks are exactly the same. It's just that it's not as shaded or picturesque, just like I said. I like it. I still like it in vanilla. Let's go back to our shaders, because this is where things really look good. And this is, let me just add this on top of that. What really makes this pondy looking is the water. The shader's water. So anything else out here is going to look good, no matter what. Shaders or not. The only thing I don't like about the shaders is that you're always confused at what time of day it is. So let's go eat. And I will pop over to a creative mode here and kind of show you guys what my whole thought process has been behind this whole thing. So as you guys can see, I've tried out a couple different trees and things like that. I haven't come back to kind of look at them, but this was my oak tree that I made earlier. Looks alright. Like I said, I feel like they're taller. This was a tree that I made kind of attempting like a very basic tree. This sort of looked okay. This is another tree that I made just free flow, and it just needs a lot more depth. That's a Minecraft tree. Basically, the idea is when you're making a tree, you make the shape, whatever you want it to be. So, maybe we have a tree that juts out like this. And then we want a couple more branches. I'm not going to do anything fancy. This is something that needs to be on YouTube. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to post it. Because I've searched YouTube far and wide, and I can't find a good tree tutorial. And this is a very basic one, so I'm sure people can do better. I'm just saying something needs to be out. Now here's the rule with this tree. So we're going to make this tree, and the first step to making it is we're going to put one layer of leaf on every side of these wood blocks, unless you want to show it. And later on you can get creative, but right now I just recommend, if this is your first organic tree, make it with leaves covering one side of the block. Just one side, just like I'm doing right now. And what you'll get is you'll get the leaves, or the branches covered. Now, your tree, what you want to do is spend a lot of time making the depth of the branches. Not the leaves, because the leaves will get really squared out and then you won't like them later if you're not careful. That's why you got to follow this rule when you're starting off, to kind of get a good idea of what you like in the tree and what you don't like in the tree. And honestly, I think I'm going to be using this rule forever. So this is the way the tree is going to end up looking. Now, one thing that I want to do right off the bat is I want to add a solid layer in the middle where the original branch comes off from. And, you know, maybe later on, as I'm adding these leaves, I might say, oh, hey, maybe I wanted more branches off of that. But the truth of the matter is, we're talking big branches right now. We're not talking about small ones. So the next thing we want to do is go back to the bottom and kind of add leaves to the leaves. So same concept. You just want to make sure that there's 2 layers of leaves on each side of the wood. So 1, 2, 3. This one's really easy. Just like that. Don't worry about the top part yet. We'll get to that in a second. That's where it gets a little more creative. So that one we forgot. We don't want to go too far down, so just be careful of that. So we're gonna add. This one's got 1, 2 on this side. Another one up here. We want another one here and here, and then kind of congruence right there. One on top. Put one here. There. Maybe one in the diagonal. Put another tree on top of there. Another on top of here. Add some diagonal ones here. Just kind of add to your build. We need 2 here. Kind of spread out this. And you can see we're not thinking necessarily about the build, how it looks or anything with the tree. All we're doing right now is just covering up the wood. So maybe even right there. Another layer on top of here. go ahead and do one there. Stop and kind of look around. So I'm noticing there's a little bit of a gap we want to cover, and definitely some gaps here that need to be covered. Corner block. Okay. So there we go. Just add a few more. I'm not what I'm not doing. Let me talk straight here. What I'm not doing is I'm not going and looking around and saying, okay, hey, look, this tree needs a little bit here, this tree needs a little bit here. What I'm doing is I'm covering the wood. I'm making it so that it's not as easily shown. So now we've got this tree. And obviously, we can see some issues with it. That's pretty clear to see. But from the bottom, when we're looking up at that tree, this doesn't look half bad. Especially for a tree that I just used quickly as an example. And as you guys can see, it didn't take that long. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete some leaves. And do not overthink this process. Especially in vanilla, or in what do you call it? Single player. Maybe a little bit of leaf here, and then one more right there to kind of come down. I know, I like that one part right there. And then we'll cut that off right here. And take out that. What we've got here is a really actually nice tree that we've made on our own. And when you have cases like this, for instance, where we forgot to add a couple blocks, you want to add padding around it so that it's not kind of just sticking out. But what I would do is, if you want to play around with some organic stuff and kind of finding out what looks right, what is right, go into creative, make little shapes, tree shapes, and then fill them in. That's the best way to get it going. And then, like I said, you want to come back and say, kind of go around it and say, is this the way I want it? Definitely don't like this side. It's very blocky and doesn't look very good. But this side of it definitely has some depth and shape and feel. In vanilla, you're going to be just looking at it from this perspective, because this is the most important perspective. Again, don't like this shape here, but I'm okay with this part. The unfortunate thing is, when you're building this, if you don't do it right, you might as well start over, because at this point, I mean, yeah. You might as well just start over. But, yeah, let's go back into some single player survival. Gotta be careful we don't choose this world, because this guy right there is the 1.9 snapshot world, which you guys will probably see at the end of the day. Not today. I mean, not this morning. I don't think I put it out. I don't know. Whoa. Little lag there. And again. Sun's going down. What is going on? I wish I could sleep. It's crazy. Looks like it's time to quit, though. I can definitely tell. So, until next time, guys. Happy mining and crafting.